Hello and welcome to PatentInspiration. In this video I will give you a full demo on the functionality of PatentInspiration. I will use a case study, say roller skate. In title and abstract, add to filter, and I have about 5,600 patent documents. Now, in order to be sure that I have all the necessary documents for my project, we have created something called Find Related Terms. So I place roller skate in Find Related Terms, and it will find all the words in the patent database that have the same or similar context to roller skate. So then I can see, of course, roller skate, inline skates, roller skates, inline skates. So I can choose, basically, select all the words that are relevant to my project. Roller skates, conventional roller skate, inline skates, assembly. Because often what happens is people use difficult words in their patents to make them difficult to find. With this tool, of course, you can identify roller blade, inline roller, all the words that are relevant. Roller skating, roller skates, and so on. Rollerblade. And once you're happy and you say, look, these are all the ones that I need, I will add that to my filter. They're added. I update my filter, and now I have 7,900 patent documents instead of 5,600. This is where the problem starts. Now, I'm not going to read 7,900 documents. Well, if you really want to, you can. There is a list view of these patents, and you can go one by one through these patents in detail. But more importantly, what we have created is a whole set of visualization tools. Meaning, how can we make sure we know what we know, or we know what we want to know in these patents without having to read them. Bibliographic, time-related, comparisons, maps, an advanced text analysis, units, and then tools that have to do with our methodology, innovation, logic. So let me start with bibliographic. All the time you have a left side, configuration. This is where you configure your own visualization, or templates, which is pre-configured. So we already have made some pre-configurations like academic, applicants, companies. You can make your own configurations as well, or pre-configurations. So you just click on what you think is interesting, and behind you, what happens is there's a dashboard being created. Whenever the analysis is ready, it shows you color. So for example, here you have the country map, so you can see not much going on in Africa, a lot in America, in China, and you can just click on that and say, this is Australia, this is where the patents are in Australia, and you can go in detail. So it's always like a helicopter view, and then you can go all the way down to the patent to see what is the detail in the patent. These are bibliographics, so many like inventor, academia, and so on. So I can just click on, say, companies, and you have a word cloud. So a word cloud, as you will know, is basically a cloud of words. The bigger the words, the more patents behind it. And you can have here top 50, top 100, top 250, whatever you desire. And you can start to edit this word cloud. Say Benetton and Benetton, these are the same. So I can take this one and put it in there. Or I can say rollerblade and rollerblade is the same. Or I could say, oh, SKF, it's about ball bearings. I don't need that. I will bin that. Or I want to put some color in there and say it's about K2 and Salomon and Nordica. So you can choose how to edit this, but the main, of course, use of this tool is you just click on them and you find what are the patents of K2 Corp here behind. And you see the 81 patents with a little also LinkedIn connection if you want to go to LinkedIn. So these are bibliographic tools. It's about who and where are these patents. And then we have time analysis. So time means show me the activity, the applicants, the company timeline, and so on. So it shows you basically over time what is going on. So it shows you here an activity. I can expand this graph a bit. Say it comes from here all the way up. It's a bit like a roller skate ramp here, going down again. And then you have basically a peak here in the year 2000. And this is active. So if I want to see 2017, I click on 2017 and I have the patents behind 2017. As you see here, mainly Chinese patents, so on roller skate or rollerblade. In a similar fashion, you have company over time. So you can see here again the same kind of peak, and then going down, and all the companies here have their own color. You can choose if you don't want to see one, say you don't want to see Roches here or Roques, you unclick it, or if you want in the list to see other things like you want to see Mattel or Technica, you just add them to it and they will add onto your graph. Visualize it like that, or you can visualize it in a XY version where you could say here you have all the companies, here you have over time, and you can hide this and say, okay, now I want to see, for example, the 9 patents of Decathlon here in this year. You basically click on that and you see the patents in detail. So these are time-related ones. Now, to go even in more detail, you could say, I don't want just a timeline, I want a line X something and Y something. For example, companies on the X-axis and countries on the Y-axis. Add that. So anything versus anything, you have here companies versus academics, who is patenting with which universities, or companies versus field of invention, companies versus trademarks mentioned, and so on. Any of these kind of X1, Y1, and show me the graph. So let's have a look. Here you have the country versus companies. So what did it make? You have countries here, companies here, and you can see France, for example, has Decathlon, Fargrade Plastics, Nordica, Rossignol, and Salomon. And if they are overlapping a bit, you can also move from visualization, say, to a heat map, and there you go. You click on them, of course, you have the patents again behind it. Compare. So compare anything versus anything. Then we go to maps. Now, maps is basically a grid that we created in which you can then see all the patents. And there is several maps in here. And I will launch some here to visualize. In the meantime, also, I will launch one of my favorites we will come to is the competitor analysis. And say we do a competitor analysis from a certain company. Whilst this is running. Competitor is quite interesting because here I'm not just giving competitor, I'm giving competitor of Salomon in the area of roller skates. Let me run that. I'll come back to that. So first one ready here is domain. So you can ask, in which domains are these patents? It can be interesting, for example, if you look at a certain problem and you want to know who's in which domain is talking about this problem of, for example, speed versus heat or something like that. So here what you see is human needs, operation, transport. So this is, for example, vehicle wheels is in transport classified, where human needs is in, here is heads and head coverings, probably helmets. So you can click on that, and then you find behind it the patents that talk about helmets here, or protective helmets, or lighted helmets, and so on. So in detail. Domains, and in the same way, we have created code map, and code map is one of my favorite maps also, because it shows you all the patents on one grid. As you know, there's about 250,000 classes. So what we build is a classification grid, A, B, C, and so on. So, and then if you go A in detail, what you have, if A has its subclasses, so A43 or A, here you have A43, which is footwear, and you can click again, and always you go down and down into the level of the patents, and you can follow under here, for example, saying A43B, characteristic features of footwear, and so on. And that if you like anything like that, you say, well, let me view it first maybe in a big screen, and then I can select a certain area that I like, for example, this one, and what you get is basically all the patents behind it. More interestingly, what I like in this map is if you go to this map and you want to pinpoint, say, who is where. So I can reset the zoom to the normal view here, and then I can say add a certain applicant, for example, Salomon. Bring Salomon on the map, and I see where I have the patents, and then I say I want to compare Salomon with, say, K2. And you get Salomon is here and no K2. K2 is here, no Salomon, and here they are together. Now you can also put any kind of item on there and say, I want to know who is working on brake. And I say add, and what I have is where they work on brake. So you can see it like that, or you can see it little stacks like that. So a very nice map to basically see what is going on in which classes. And on top of the classes, you will see shortly what is there, like the boots, the shoes, the coating surfaces, and so on, will always show on top. So that's that map. Now, I remember when we tried to make a map of materials, we said, let's make a material map, and this is what came back. We said, this is not really a material map, but it's also very nice. what sometimes happens. And this is actually a map on the elements. So as you know, the table of Mendeleev, it's a very nice structure again to put all the data, 7,900 patents, into which elements are mentioned in which patent. So what do we have here? For example, titanium, 53 patents mentioning titanium, whereas neodymium, 3 patents. And again, you can click on them and you find where are they mentioning it? Well, here in skating and walking shoe, it shows neodymium magnet and neodymium magnet pieces 2 times mentioned in the patent. So again, a very nice way to have an existing structure and then put in there all the patents and view them by navigating through the elements. And related to that, you could say the materials, which is then made after, is you just make a list of all materials here. You have the polymers, the carbon, the ceramics, the fluids. Here you have the metals under there. And you can click on if you want to know who's mentioning, for example, epoxy, or you can also go to a list view and say these are the actual materials. Show me who's mentioning PTFE. PTFE here, the patents that mention it, you just take a patent, for example, here, and it will analyze in your patent title, abstract, claims, and description, 1 time mentioned in description. So show me where. It shows you here Teflon or PTFE, or polytetrafluoroethylate, is mentioned in this patent. Technology, also nice. It's just to show you which kind of technology fields are they patenting, mainly in games here, but also in transport. And then you can see all the fields there. And again, a kind of flashlight on the data and what is in there. Now let's go to competitor analysis, as I said, one of my favorite ones. So here you can say Salomon in the area of roller skates has these closest competitors. The more blue, the closer they are. The bigger here, the more patents there are. So you can immediately have a list of all the competition of Salomon, which again can be very nice to say either competitor analysis or to find out who's the competitor of my client, finding new clients, or who's the competitor of my supplier, finding better, cheaper suppliers. So those are the maps. Now let's go to the more advanced analysis, which is text analysis. Now text basically allows you to do anything you can think of in the text. So I could say, for example, I would like to know which type of wheels are patenting or are patented in my pool. So what I then do is a type of wheel will be expressed in a hollow wheel or flexible wheel or double wheel. So I say adjectives in front of wheel, used in the same sentence or just in front of wheel. Start. And only in title, for example. And then I just add that to my analysis. Oops, wheel, I have to enter. Start, enter, voila. And that will run. So let's have a look now at some text analysis. Yeah. So I have here a glossary. So glossary, I've asked for what are all the abbreviations in my tool, in my patent data. So I have CCD, or I have all the polymers here saying PU, PVC, and so all the abbreviations which are mentioned in my patent pool are here, and often that's a nice visualization of all the technologies which are present in my pool. So that's quite nice. And meanwhile, let's have a look if our adjectives are ready. So basically here they are, the adjectives of wheel. So we can actually call this, every title you can change, so say type of wheels, for example. And we see, oh, there is adjustable wheels, there is folding, foldable, I can again join them together. There is inline wheels, something you say, oh, I'm skating wheels, oh, that's obvious, I can put that in the bin. So again, you can look at this pool of words and see what type of wheels, and if you say, oh, what does that mean, for example, a certain luminous wheel, and you just click on it and you find the luminous wheels here. Let me have a look, and then you see luminous wheels in detail. So a very nice way to see what are the type of wheels. Even more could be interesting if you say, I can look at these type of wheels over time. So then again, we go to what we've seen before. We make a timeline and we say, what do we want? Oh, a timeline. Of what? Of a text. What kind of text? Oh, we want to see the adjectives which are in the title in front of the word wheel. Star, enter, wheel and wheels, and add that. And even before I add that, I can save that and say, for example, I will call that wheel evolution. So then I make my own template. Template created, wheel evolution. And I can share that with my colleagues if I want to say, oh, look, I have made this an advanced kind of visualization. It's wheel evolution, please accept it. It's in by mail, it's in their software, and they can open it. You just click on it and it will generate basically the visualization. So that's wheel evolution. Let me open my dashboard again. Let's have a look. We also did problems. So finding out what are all the main problems people talk about, the top 50 or the top 100. It's about, for example, here, all the problems. I open again to 50, 50 top, and you say braking could be a problem, yes. You could say braking is actually similar to safety problem or control problem, and so on and so on. So it gives you a bit, also a nice way to look at if you have a problem here and you say, well, braking is a problem in this area, when in other areas, how do they do it? Can we use that to see other domains? Trademarks. Who's mentioning what trademark? And these are all patents that mentioning trademarks. Again, we have here Velcro, Teflon, nylon, all the top 50 or the top 100, all the trademarks, which are often also a link to the kind of technologies that are used. And I think we have also made an XY earlier here, which says trademarks versus companies. So you have here trademarks, companies, who is mentioning, for example, nylon, this company, Teflon, this company, this company, this company, and so on. Might be maybe nicer here in a heat map, so you have no overlap. So again, another way of doing some text analysis. In the meantime, also we have our adjectives timeline, which was, as we called it, wheel evolution. So it gives you here a way of doing kind of trending. See, you can say, well, I don't want, for example, back wheel or straight wheel. I can take them out, but I can then say I want retractable wheel and I want, for example, removable wheel. And you can see them like that, or you can see them in an XY kind of, and see what kind of wheels are appearing over time. So again, this is then maybe a wheel evolution trend analysis, and this is now only done in title, but you could do it in the full patent and see, or in all the claims, and see how they evolve over time. Also a nice analysis. So text analysis, a lot is possible. Even very advanced, you can also do patterns, like say, I want to have a pattern and I want to know which kind of flexib star items, flexib, yeah, that's a code to put that, and then you will know all the words that have flexible or flexibility and so on, and the word behind it, and you put that. Oh, actually, I will change it into flexible, and then add to that. Voilà. And then you get all the flexible material. And again, we could go back to our timeline and say the evolution of flexibility in the area of roller skates, again, would be like a trend analysis. So these are some text analysis. Let me go to units. So units, they say what gets measured gets done. What are all the units they talk about? They can talk about power or pressure or temperature, or you have a whole list of units here. You could say speed, for example. And you get basically a visualization on all the units. So what they do here is they take all the patents and put them in the unit map. While this is running, let's have a look. Oh, it's ready. Let's have a look first at our flexible things. So this was flexible, and we have to take it into the bin. But we could say flexible material, flexible connection, flexible extrusions, boot, and so on and so on. So a lot of cleaning needed, but you can basically customize this kind of word cloud to see what you want to find. Now here we have units, so mainly size, temperature, time, pressure, speed. You can see here, and if you want to see, for example, who's talking about viscosity, again, you have the patents that mention viscosity in their patent. There you go. So, and in detail, if you want to see it in detail, you basically go to a unit, and here you say, this is all the speeds or all the pressures, and you can change, for example, here you have 10 to 100 bars. And then in the patent, it will show you that it's mentioning, for example, here, rollerblade shoes. Show me where are the pressure or the pressure elements, and then it will kind of analyze, and you go in detail in there. So these are units, speed. Let me show here speed, high speed, of course, and then we go to, for example, here Californian patent, and it shows you high speed here, how much, and we're going 50 kilometers an hour. It's probably quite fast on your roller skates. So that's units, and then finally we have the toolbox, which is related to our methodology, like modifier or self, value equation, patterns, and so on. I'll open a few visualizations, and I also open what we call combination analysis, and combination analysis allows you to do several words. So for example, transparent and flexible and fast and so on. And I can just put in words like comfortable and so on. And I can basically put a whole list of words and then say I want to see where these in all the patents have all these several words. So it will basically make a list of, let me put antimicrobial, just to put a wildcard in here. Enter. Okay, that will take a bit of time. So I go to my first one here, modifier. And modifier is really what is going on in these patents. So you could say, what is going on in roller skate? Oops, roller skate. Increasing comfort, performance, safety, speed, stability. Decreasing cost, damage, injury, weight, vibration. Changing or stabilizing balance, stability, and so on. So basically, what is going on up, down in your patents, and you can say, well, I'm interested in who is working on increasing the speed. Okay, you click on that, and you will find the patents that mention in their patent we're trying to increase the speed. So again, you know immediately, for example, here, I talk about speed 2 times, 1 time here, and 1 time here, greater speed, for example. Yeah. And in the same way, we have created this increase, decrease. We also have a value equation, which is related to our methodology. So let's have a look. Value equation is ready. So value equation is about every product that you're designing or every system you're designing basically wants to be in future more performant, less harmful, easier and cheaper. So we say more good, less bad, easier, cheaper. It's part of the value equation of our methodology. So we say performance in this area will be about, for example, performance, resistance, the user, the control, the balance, whereas the harm parts are the ones like environmental friendly, damage, could be. So it's trying to find the words that correlate with harms or with convenience, interface, comfortable, easy to control, easy to install, easy to operate, flexible, self-centering, self-aligning, these things, and then cost, everything which is related to cost. So again, fully clickable. You could say cost, show me who's working on cost, it is production cost or any, and you just click on that and you'll find in this patent they're mentioning that they are working on a cost is reduced. Yeah, so again, a nice flashlight or a nice way to go into the data. And one of them was self, we mentioned. So self is also one of the free versions. So you can basically see all the self-mentioning, because we say a lot of things will go towards self-cleaning, self-organizing, self-balancing. So here you see self-cleaning in this area. You can just click on that and say, who's talking about self-cleaning? And you have here, for example, a self-cleaning machine that talks about here rollerblades. Yeah. Patent value is another visualization that shows you what are the highest value patents in my 7,900. Now, how do we make this value judgment? Only by citations of others, recency, and size of the family. So I can take a patent here, for example. This is a patent from K2. I click on that. And why is this patent regarded as a high value patent? Here is a citation viewer or a citation explorer, and you will see how many times this patent has been cited by other patents. So when they built their technology, it seems like they had to mention this patent and kind of build up that technology. So it is taking all the citations in, and we'll make a map from that. Here we go. So we have all these Salomon, Benetton, Nordica. They're all talking about this K2 patent before they're patenting theirs. So it must be a big or an important technology. And you can actually go through the years like that and navigate through the web of citations, which can also be very useful. So that is some of the visualizations. I see evolutionary potential is also ready. This is related to our method to say innovation can happen in certain directions. So you can make a rollerblade on the surface, a better surface, or a new shape, or more flexible or transparent. So it basically shows you in which direction these patterns are going. And transparency would be where do they mention in this roller skate, for example here, transparent something. Here they made a transparent, probably illuminated, and therefore transparent to get the light through. So that's also a quick view to see where is the activity in the patent domain. These are some relations you can make between companies. It basically shows you what are the common, so if you take Benetton here, what are the common classes they go into. Now it's the same domain, so everybody's very related, but sometimes that can be useful to see basically which companies are related through which kind of activity in their patents. Finally, also a very nice one to look for prior art or to look for new applications. You can make a list of terms here, and then you see all the patents, not just our filter, this is outside our patent filter, all the patents that are mentioning flexibility, fast, comfortable, antimicrobial, and so on. And you see, for example, these 3 patents are mentioning it, and you then go to the patent itself, and you will see where in this patent they are mentioning this fast, transparent, flexible, transparent, and so on. Terms that you were looking for. And then it could be, oh, that's a very different domain that actually relates to all the things that I'm talking about. Can I maybe take some technology from that domain? So often, for example, you could say a bicycle is 2 wheels, a frame, and metal work, and so on. You put all these in there, and you will see that the patents of wheelchairs are very related to the patents of bicycle. So you could say, oh, maybe I can take some technology from wheelchair, or I can put some technology from my bicycles into wheelchair domains. So for that, this is a very nice analysis. So these are quite a few analyses I have shown to you. There's a bit more in there that I will explain in the more advanced videos. Let me just finish by showing you now how you can work with that. You can basically save the report, and I say I save it here, and I call it rollerblade or roller skate. I save it, and then I can choose to share it with someone that has no access to the software. You can actually then share it, and anybody can open that. I can make it public, and I will put this link under the video so you can have a look at the actual visualizations we made in this video. And then you can also share in different ways by saying, imagine I say I like this value equation to have in a meeting. Let me make a PowerPoint. So I export it to PowerPoint, and I choose which visualizations I want in my PowerPoint, and the benefit of this PowerPoint is it will be organized and connected to my actual, so let me have that created, to my software. So you can click on the slides and you come into the software to view it. Similarly, you can also export to, if you say I have a certain group here of patents, for example, I want all the self patents here, these ones, and I want to add them to a briefcase. I have a briefcase here. I make a pool of patents that afterwards I can use in a different report. Or I can go and say I want to export them to, say, CSV and go to another software with it. Or I want to go to Word, and if I click on Word, it will give me, I'll just put this away for a second, give me what I want to place in that Word document, and so on. So many possibilities to export. Here we have our example PowerPoint. Let me see how to open that. And here it must be ready. Okay. So what I've created, PowerPoint will open. Here we go. And it shows you all the analysis that I have asked or shown here in a PowerPoint linked to my software again. And finally, you can also go for let me go to the filter, and I can place an alert and say, now that I have done this work, I want to do this work again every week, 2 weeks, and send me only the new patents which are in my filter. So again, that you can do. So that is an introduction to our software. So many things are possible. It is really designed to do research with patents, as that is its origin, and really research in not only just who is doing what where, but also really into innovation and what are possibilities, what are competitors, what are new trends, and so on. So thank you very much for watching, and please check also out the little videos on the site, which are about very specific tools in the software. Thank you.